Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you do not miss any video lesson from Rao's IAS.
Hello and welcome to Daily Prelims Practice, where we take up the questions from the Hindu and Indian Express and curate them as per the demands of Civil Services Prelims Examination. The topic for today's discussion are listed on your screen. Moving to the first article of the day that has featured in the Hindu, basically talks about the Wangla dance of Meghalaya, which is performed by the Garo community. Now, UPSC in the previous year and also in the year of 2018 has asked questions related to various traditions under the art and culture section, and thus a question can be framed in this regard. The practice question says, consider the following pairs: Harvest Festival and the areas associated with them. The first here is Peda Panduya associated with Odisha. Now this pair is incorrectly matched, as Peda Panduya is the harvest festival of Andhra Pradesh. Moving on to the second pair, it says Makara Vilaku of Karnataka. Now this pair is also again incorrectly matched, as Makara Vilaku is the harvest festival of Kerala. The third pair here is Vangala associated with Meghalaya, and it is correct as we have already seen it in the infographic. The last pair here is Kicheri of Uttar Pradesh, which is also correctly matched, as Kicheri is a harvest festival that is celebrated across Uttar Pradesh. The question further says choose the correct code, and as only two pair are correct, the correct code for the given question will be option B. Moving on to the previous year question, the correct code for the given question is option B here also. Going a little deeper about the Vangala festival, the Vangala festival of Meghalaya is the most popular festival among the Garos of the Meghalaya. Vangala festival is a harvest festival which is held in the honor of Saljong, the sun god of fertility. Basically, the celebration of Mangala festival marks the end of a period of toil which brings good output of the field. The festival also signifies the onset of winter. Bangala festival is also known as 100 Drums festival, and at this occasion the tribal offers sacrifices to please their main deity Saljong, that is the sun god. Moving on to the next article that has featured in the Hindu, basically talks about a combo of gold and mushroom which will be used to ease the drug delivery. Now UPSC has previously also asked questions related to various innovations and developments that have been going on, and in the year of 2022 they have asked questions related to Gucci. A practice question in this regard can be framed. The practice question here says, with reference to Cordyceps militaris, sometimes mentioned in the news, consider the following statement. The first statement here is, it is a parasitic fungus. Now this statement is correct, as it is a fungus with a long history of widespread use in the folk medicine and its biological and medical function. It is being cultivated in the eastern belt of Himalayas. The second statement here says, it cannot be grown artificially in the lab. Now this statement is incorrect, as this parasitic fungus is being grown in the lab at the Department of Biotechnologies in the Bodoland University. It is also called as super mushroom for its tremendous medicinal properties. The third statement here is, its usage will help in making drug delivery faster. Now this statement is again correct, as it is being synthesized with the gold salts to make cortigold nanoparticles, which helps in drug delivery faster and more surer in the human body. Basically, it is the super mushroom and adds a bioactive component to the synthesis of gold nanoparticles for better penetration and target. The question further says, which of the following statements given above are correct, and as only statement 1 and 3 are correct, the correct code for the given question will be option C. The correct code for the previous year question is also option C. Moving on to the next article that has featured in the Hindu, basically talks about the Unified District Information System for Education Plus report, which is released by Ministry of Education, and it highlights the decline in the pre-primary enrollments that has continued in 2021-2022. Now UPSC in the previous year has also asked questions related to education, and such a question was seen in the year 2017 when UPSC asked about the Vidyanjali Yojana. So this area becomes important from the perspective of prelims. The practice question here says, with reference to the Unified District Information System for Education Plus report, consider the following statement. The first statement here is, the number of children entering pre-primary classes has seen a decline as compared to pre-COVID. Now this statement is correct, as due to COVID, younger students with less access to remote learning continue to bear the biggest brunt of learning loss during the pandemic. A total of 94.95 lakh students have entered into the pre-primary classes in 2021-2022, which is a drop of 10% as compared to the previous year when 1.06 crore children enrolled in these classes. Further, there was already a decline in the year 2020-21 when there was a decline of 21% enrollment in the pre-primary classes, as it was at a level of 1.35 crore the year before due to the school closures and classroom moving online due to COVID. The second statement here says enrollment in primary classes, which include classes 1 to 5, saw a drop for the first time. Now this statement is again correct, as it was for the first time that enrollment in primary classes saw a drop. The third statement here is the total number of students from primary to higher secondary has also decreased. Now this statement is incorrect, because as per the report, the total number of students from primary to higher secondary has increased by 19 lakh to 25.57 crore. The question further says, which of the above statement is or are correct? And as only statement 1 and 2 are correct, the correct code for the given question will be option B. Further, the correct code for the previous year question given here is option A. Moving on to the next question of the day that has featured in the Hindu, basically talks about the heavy-handed treatment that has been meted out on the wire due to the editorial laxity that it has featured related to a program of tech giant. UPSC in the previous year has also asked questions related to various terminologies that were in news at that year, and such a question was also seen in the year 2018 when UPSC asked about WannaCry, Petya and Eternal Blue. So thus this becomes important from the perspective of prelims. The practice question says X-Check program was recently in news and it is an initiative of which of the following? Now X-Check program is an initiative of the Facebook. Basically the X-Check or cross-check program repeatedly exempts millions of high-profile users from community standards that are applied to less famous and less wealthy users worldwide. The program was introduced by the Facebook. Moving back to the previous year question, the correct code for the given question will be option C. Moving on to the next article that has featured in the Hindu, basically talks about Amur falcon species. Now UPSC can ask a question related to Amur falcon species in the coming prelims, and thus this area becomes important for us. The practice question in this regard says, consider the following statement. The wide breeding range and the large population size of the Amur falcon have led to species being assessed as being of least concern. Now this statement is correct. The second statement here says the flocking behavior during migration and the density at which they occur, however, expose them to hunting and other threats. Now this statement is also correct, as the flocking behavior and their migration make them susceptible to hunting in northeastern India and also in parts of Africa. The question further says which of the statement given above is or are incorrect, and the question has very cleverly asked about the incorrect statement, and as both the statements are correct, the correct code for the given question will be option D. The next article that has featured in the Indian Express talks about India's action towards the climate finance at the COP27 summit, which is scheduled to start on November 6. Now the COP summit this year will take place in Egypt. UPSC under the environment section has previously also asked questions related to various initiatives that have been started globally, as well as those initiatives that are introduced in India to tackle the problem of climate change and related to the field of environment. So this area becomes important for us. The practice question in this regard says, consider the following statement regarding climate financing. The first statement here is, it was at the Copenhagen summit developed countries formally recognized to extend $100 billion of loan for the needs of developing countries. Now this statement is incorrect. Though it was in 2009 at the COP15 summit which happened in the Copenhagen, the developed countries parties to achieve a meaningful mitigation action and transparency on implementation, they jointly set a target of $100 billion a year by 2020 to address the needs of developing countries. However, the climate finance goal was formally recognized by UNFCCC at COP16 summit which happened in Cancun. So the idea behind climate finance goal was conceptualized during the Copenhagen summit but was formally recognized by UNFCCC at the Cancun summit. The second statement here says India domestically has launched National Adaptation Fund to bridge the gap between the needs and the available funds. Now this statement is correct as India in 2014 established National Adaptation Fund with a corpus of 100 crore. The primary aim of the fund was to bridge the gap between the need and the available fund. This fund is operated by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The question further says choose the correct code, and the correct code for the given question will be option B as only statement 2 is correct. And the correct answer for the previous year question that featured in 2014 regarding Global Environment Facility is option A. Moving to the last question of the day, which has featured in the Indian Express, basically talks about the trends in the poverty lines in India, and poverty as a whole has declined in the previous decades. Now a practice question in this regard can be framed under the economy section and can be very well asked by UPSC in the coming prelims examination. The practice question says, consider the following statements related to present trends in official poverty line. The first statement here is, the percentage of BPL population at an all India level has consistently declined since 1990s. Now this statement is correct because as per the reports of Suresh Tendulkar committee based on per capita monthly consumption expenditure, the all India poverty has reduced from 45.3% in 1993-94 to 21.9% in 2011-12 at an all India level. Moving on to the second statement, it says since the 1990s, the rural poverty has declined at a much faster as compared to urban poverty. Now this statement is incorrect. Though both rural poverty and urban poverty has witnessed a decline in the recent decades, but urban poverty has declined much more. The rural poverty has declined from 50.1% to 25.7%. That is, approximately it has halved in the time period between 1993-94 to 2011-12. But urban poverty, on the other hand, has declined from 31.8% in 93-94 to a level of 13.7%, which is a greater decline than the half which was seen under the case of rural poverty. The infographic and this data will help you better understand how urban poverty has declined faster. The third statement here says, as per the multidimensional poverty index, decline in poverty has been more significant in the period between 2014-21 than the period of 2004 and 13. Now this statement is correct. The question further says, which of the statement given above is or are correct? And as only statement 1 and 3 are correct, the correct code for the given question will be option C. We can refer to this infographic to conclude that the rural poverty has declined slower when compared to urban poverty, and the poverty as a whole on the all India level has declined. Further, we can also see how multidimensional poverty index has seen a decline which is greater after 2014. So these were the questions for the day. Stay tuned for more such updates.